Sounds like you think about everything from a big whole systems perspective and consider more than what most people are considering when they think about their health. So that's what I'd really like to learn today.
Yeah, I'm very much a systems man.
Yeah.
Because in both life and in the human body, there's no system that operates independent of any other system. So if you think of the body like a spider's web, you cannot touch any part of a spider's web without affecting the whole thing. So if you look at the way people do research and try to isolate hormones or do research on elbow flexion or these kinds of things, this creates the illusion of knowledge, and it's dangerous knowledge because it leads people to actually believe in things without understanding how it's affecting other systems. So in my life and in my work, I've spent a lot of time learning how each system influences every other system, because oftentimes the symptoms are really not the problem. They're the symptoms of a system that's stressed from excessively compensating for other systems.
Yeah.
So on that note, what are your thoughts about the scientific method in general, about isolating a single variable to do a research study? Is there value there, or how do you do research if you can't isolate a variable?
Well, there is value there, but you have to be conscious of what it is that you're looking at. And I'll give you an example of that. I can give you a 24-hour cortisol rhythm test with just taking your saliva. And let's say the test come back and it shows me that your cortisol DHEA ratio is all screwed up and indicates you have phase 3 adrenal exhaustion. And then I can give you licorice root, DHEA, and a number of other supplements to bring cortisol levels up. And that sounds really good, and that would be very scientific, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you're only worried about those two things.
The question is, though, how the hell did your adrenal glands get burnt out in the first place? So then when I look into your life and find out you're going through a divorce and that you're now having to pay two places, pay rent for yourself and pay for your wife and alimony for your kids, so you're now having to work overtime every day and you're training for some athletic event, well, there's not enough licorice root in the world to address those issues. So, you could swim in this stuff. So this is what happens, and this is why a lot of elite athletes come to me, because they've seen all the scientists and doctors in the world, but they keep looking at the symptoms of problems that how do you research love? How do you scientifically validate the health of a person's relationship with their spouse? How do you really effectively research what foods work for them on any given day, because you change so rapidly with weather, with exercise stress, with toxicity. The list of things that will change your internal genetic workings through epigenetics and change what you need at a dietary level are so long that we get people reading books like the China Study, and then they start eating like they're a Chinaman, but they're not. And they're not looking at the fact that we each have genes. And if your parents, for example, are from England or Scandinavia or any place in the world where the ground freezes in the winter, well, plants don't grow out of ice, so we had to live off of meat. So if you got genes that are wired to use flesh foods to get nutrients from and to rebuild cells, and all of a sudden you're reading a vegan diet book or an Ornish book, well, you think you're doing the right thing based on science, but you can end up very sick and very dysfunctional. And I've had many vegans and vegetarian athletes in here very screwed up, but they'll sit here and argue with me till they're blue in the face about how good their philosophy is. And I have to remind them, well, if it's so good, why are you here sick and broken?
So what in your mind are the most common root causes for people that come to you that are sick and broken?
A lack of understanding of the principles that life works on. Period.
Yeah.
Just not understanding how life works. Not understanding how stress summates from all areas of their life. So if a person's got financial stress, if they've got relationship stress, if they've got performance anxiety, if they've got musculoskeletal problems, if they've got bacterial dysbiosis, parasite infections, fungal infections. I mean, most people that I see, even people that think they're healthy, blow the charts right off when I start doing assessments on them and start using functional medicine to look at their hormonal systems. They look like total wrecks, but a lot of them look good in the mirror. I'm the guy that coined the term the fit sick person, because we now have an era of people that look good in the mirror but are very, very sick on the inside.
Yeah, do you think this necessity to have more of an understanding is coming, and it's 2018 now, because we've got pretty much an artificial environment we've built around ourselves. Is this an understanding that wasn't necessary, 100 years ago or 500 years ago, that we now need to have because there's so much going on?
Yes, we do need it, because we're so disconnected from the earth, and we've just moved through the age of information, though it's very alive. The experts on the ages and like social ages that we're going through say we're now moving into the age of context. We've just come out of the information age. That doesn't mean information's not growing very fast. All you got to do is track the speed that computers process, and now we're entering the realm of quantum computation, which is going to take us to a very wild and crazy experience that most people have no idea what's about to happen. But it's going to be very positive, but also very scary at the same time, because we're about to unleash a dragon.
It's going to get weird.
It's going to get weird,
Yeah.
We don't have to go down that path, because that's a whole other topic. But most people live so much in their head and spend so much time looking at television screens, video screens, phone screens, and we've developed an entire academic culture that prides itself on the ability to state facts, figures, and memorization. But people don't realize that knowledge is just a collection of ideas. Wisdom is the synthesis of the practice of those ideas, and it's only wisdom when you are sure it works. So we now have all sorts of people worldwide, the majority of our population, that actually thinks that they're doing the right thing. And like the vegans I was talking about, and I don't have anything against veganism, if it's working for you, great. Like people using various supplements that they read, and this is going to do this, or this will lower your cortisol, this will raise your cortisol. We have people that believe what is stated by anybody that has some kind of advanced fancy degree or wears a white jacket like it's the word of God. But what's happening is they're spending so much time trading information and using information that actually is disconnecting them from the most essential principles that I call the four doctors, such as, what am I doing all this for? What is my dream? What am I working to create in my life? What gives me a sense of meaning? Dr. Diet, how should I eat for my individual needs, which you can't do until you develop an intimate relationship with your body. So most people just read books and research articles and pay no attention to how they're feeling. And I watch people get fat. I watch them get skinny. I watch them get pimples. I watch them get exhausted. I watch them burn their adrenal glands out, all while they're doing this diet that's scientifically validated, without realizing that that diet is only valid on in a computer.
Yeah, I think
in a piece of paper.
I think people look at athletes and people that may have great-looking physiques, and if you would ask me 10 years ago, hey, are you in touch with your body? I'd have been like, oh yeah, for sure. And then having lived a little bit longer and having actually creating a relationship with my body, I go, wow, I actually didn't know.
Right.
How do you teach somebody to build that relationship with their body? And who are the people that you interact with that they come to you and they go, oh, they may think they have a relationship with their body. What do you tell them to help them see that differently?
Well, first of all, I do very comprehensive testing, and I test 29 different systems in the body, which I graph out for them. And like I was saying, I have vegans and vegetarians telling me how great their diet is, but I put their test results in front of them and they look like they're ready to die any minute. And so, the simple thing that I do, but before I tell you that, I got to finish what I was saying earlier. We talked about Dr. Happiness. What's my dream? What am I doing this for? We talked about Dr. Diet. Then we have to be aware of Dr. Movement. And there's two classes of movement. I coined the term working in, which means doing any activity at a low enough intensity and timed with breathing to harmonize your biological oscillators, which are your brain, your heart, and your solar plexus or your gut, at a low enough intensity that you actually generate more energy through the breathing and movement than it costs in energy and resources to do the exercise. So their exercise is designed to produce a surplus of energy, where working out by definition means to work out, to spend more energy and resources than the exercise returns. That's why you have to recover from working out. So each person has to learn through practice and training by someone like me that really knows the science and practice of these things, how to do these things, so that they can actually begin to have a sense of awareness of when they actually need working in more than they need working out. And we've also got a very sick culture because we have this whole no pain, no gain kind of attitude. So people just burn themselves completely out, and they might get a little success training incorrectly, and then maybe get a trophy or set a record, but then they don't realize that that practice cannot be sustained by the body. So they shorten their careers and end up injured and having all sorts of health problems, mental problems, emotional problems, hormonal imbalances. So that's Dr. Movement in a nutshell. And then Dr. Quiet, which is the science of effectively using rest, and working in is the dynamic component of Dr. Quiet. So Dr. Movement has a yang component, working out, and a yin feminine component, working in. The feminine component of working out is the masculine component of Dr. Quiet, relatively speaking. So sleep would be the yin component of Dr. Quiet. Working in would be the yang component.